Hey everyone, and welcome back to So You Want to Be a Millionaire. I'm your co-host, Charlotte Brown, and I'm joined with the beautiful, amazing, and talented Jackie Somerville, where we work together to mentor women to look like a million, feel like a million, impact millions, and of course, make millions of dollars by doing what you love. Today, we are talking about how to stop doubting your worthiness. And we find that so many women struggle with this. Welcome, Jackie. Isn't that a big topic for us?
Hey, Charlotte, it really is. I think this is one of the biggest obstacles that women have to feeling, looking, impacting, and making millions of dollars, especially the making millions of dollars part. You know, they feel like, oh, well, impacting people is something that they're worthy of, but somehow people get stuck on their worthiness of making millions of dollars. And yeah, it really is an enormous topic. And, where do we even start? I always just look at what is the difference between you and a billionaire? You know, when I look at people who are worth hundreds of millions or billions of dollars even, you see people from all different walks of life, right? You see people who, in conventional wisdom, could be considered unattractive. You see people who are, in conventional wisdom, super attractive. You see people who've made their money in sports, people who've made their money from their intellectual prowess, who couldn't play a sport if their life depended on it. So it is like, across the board, right? There's men, there's women, there's people from all different races and nationalities and religions. So what is the common denominator? And it really, at the end of the day, and I've heard so many people who are worth hundreds of millions or billions of dollars talking about this, that it ends up being that they just believed that they could. There was something, they didn't have this ridiculous thing that, that they couldn't do it. And that even when it got tough or when other people didn't believe in them, they still believed that they could. You know, when somebody goes and starts their tech company in a garage, they don't do that because they don't think they're going to make it. They do that because they're so 100% behind what they do. They know its value in the world. They know that they're going to make it. So they go all in. They spend their last dime. They get credit card debt. They borrow from their parents. Whatever it is they do, because there isn't any doubt there. There's still times when they doubt, right? They hit a big roadblock and it's like, oh my gosh, are we going to make? But they get through that because at the end of the day, there's this fundamental belief that they can. So this is really critical on your road to millions, to get over this hump, this roadblock that comes from not believing that you can, from somehow doubting that you're worthy, that, oh, but that's them. And this is me. There is no common denominator other than the fact that they believed they could and they kept on going no matter what happened. That's it. That is it.
Yeah, 100%, Jackie, for sure. And that's the thing is, we literally travel around the world, have conversations with thousands of women, and there's always that common denominator where we see so many women who have beautiful businesses, heart-centered businesses, but they're not monetizing on their gifts. And there is this belief around the fact that when you do something that's heart-centered, that you should give it away, or that it's okay to, not earn what you truly feel like you would want to earn, in this world, doing what you do, all that kind of stuff, that we have to give our gifts away. And that's just not true. It's this, connection that we have with money in terms of feeling bad around if we're helping others, that we shouldn't make that income. But the truth is, if you were a doctor or a physician, would you feel the same way? Because they're saving lives and they're helping others as well. And they're paid handsomely to do so. And so why is that any different than you and your heart-centered business? And it seems like it's very different in terms of if you're working for someone, because we've had so many women who are, say, nurses or teachers, and they're salaried, maybe making 6 figures a year, but all of a sudden they're willing to take half or a third of what they made doing that for somebody else, as opposed to doing that for themselves. And that it's nothing, there's nothing wrong with charging what you're worth and to making the income that you want to make. That making money doesn't change who you already are. When you're a good, amazing, wonderful person who's doing great things in the world, money just amplifies that. It's just energy. It allows you to do that with ease and flow, rather than a place of stress. Because otherwise, what happens is that when we're not making the income we want to make doing what we love, is it doesn't always come from the most authentic place. We're stressed out, we're cutting corners, we're trying to please everyone, we're trying to do it all, rather than the fact of really doing it how you want to do it. And that you can earn the income that you want to make and do things how you want to do it, as opposed to trying to serve everyone, be everything to everyone, the people pleasing. That's where a lot of it comes from. And then you wind up shortchanging you, which means that you can't serve effectively on this earth. And so we have to really get comfortable with that money piece, which is the worthiness around it, that you are worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely. And when we discussed the subject for today, we talked about imposter syndrome. And this is what so many women have, is that they feel like, well, I'm not good enough to charge that, or I don't have the knowledge to charge that. No, if you can help somebody, whether it's providing a product or a service, if you can help somebody, then you have the knowledge or the product that for them, and you get to charge for it. So the imposter thing especially happens with people who are in the service industry, who provides things like coaching, like consulting, like advice, and so on, that they somehow feel like they need another degree, or another PhD, or another master's, or another course, or another certification before they're worthy of charging for what they have to offer. We come across this all the time in our coaching that you and I do together. And it really is fascinating that at some point stop and go, no, as long as I know more than the person that I'm helping, I know more. And I can change their life for them, or help them change their life for themselves. And therefore, I can charge for what I offer. So it really is a question of deciding that you're no longer going to let those doubts come in, deciding that you're no longer going to be constantly making excuses, because truthfully, every time we want to get yet another qualification, it's kind of our fear causing us to find an excuse oftentimes. And so it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna put off charging for something because I'm gonna go back to school, and I'm gonna go get another certification. I'm gonna go, and honestly, oftentimes that's just fear. That's just fear of putting yourself out there. It's fear of asking for the sale. It really is. We have this thing of, ooh, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to? And this fear of, what if people don't want what I offer and they're going to reject me? My goodness, that fear of rejection that holds us back from not only becoming rich, but being all that we was put on this earth to be, is the biggest friggin' life sucker that there is. We got to get rid of that. What is rejection? Rejection is divine intervention. Always think about it that way. It's always divine intervention or divine protection, whichever way you want to put it. It's the divine saying, not this one, because I know better. There is somebody better, or this one's going to be a problem. You don't want this customer. Or this customer is going to come back and pay you double when you're even bigger, or whatever. It's always divine intervention. So if you can get rid of the fear of rejection and stop putting yourself out there and not using things like imposter syndrome as an excuse for getting your brilliance, your product, your service, all of that out into the world, and getting really rich and impacting millions of people as you do it, oh my goodness, get rid of that, and you're going to open the flow, open to the flow. I really think it's a big excuse a lot of the time, and we all do it from time to time.
Absolutely, Jackie. And I say that all the time. After a certain amount of preparation, you just got to get on the bus, And that's the thing, is that, so many of us keep feeling like we don't have the qualifications or every scenario for anything that could possibly happen. And the thing is most of it you're going to learn as you go. Like, that's just the truth, especially if you're going to be an entrepreneur, because you can read every book in the world, you could have degrees out the yin yang, but at the end of the day, what you want to do and how you want to do it has probably never been done before. So the thing is that you have to be open to that divine guidance and to just getting on the bus and just putting yourself out there and just starting, and to follow that as to where it leads you, and that you will learn what you need to learn and you'll do what you need to do. I remember having a conversation with my niece, I think about a year or so ago, and she was so upset because she was going to school. And she was upset about how they taught things because, she knew answers that even the professors didn't know. And she was frustrated by everything. And she just felt like she wasn't being prepared to be successful. And I said, "Oh, Madison," I said, "your education is only one small piece of the puzzle. You will learn your entire lifetime. And it's only in the doing that you will learn to be the greatest version of yourself, to really learn how to help others, because it forces you to become a really good listener. And as you listen to your clients and your customers and their needs, is that you will grow and evolve to be able to best serve those as well." And so the more you can put yourself out there, the more that you can get beyond that fear of your worthiness and that, do you know enough? Are you enough? Are you smart enough? Any of those kind of things, that you are enough right now, that we have all of those answers already inside of us. And the things that we don't know, we are going to learn as it comes up. We all are learning. We are all teachers and we are all students on this earth. And so there's a point where you just got to get on the bus.
Or on the private jet, whichever suits you.
Yeah, I should change that one. I should change that one just for Jackie, for sure. Because Jackie ain't getting on no bus. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest about that. Yeah, that time has come and gone. Yeah, when we talk about this whole thing of worthiness, it is a decision to make, because I think the way that I think of it is that when I doubt my worthiness, I'm doubting the divine. And why would I do that? I don't believe that there is anybody who was created in an imperfect way. I don't believe that there was anybody who was a mistake. I think that we are all created so perfectly and so beautifully to be uniquely us, that every single one of us is worthy just by the fact that we exist. Just by the fact, not just by the fact that we were born, because I believe we're spiritual beings having a human experience, by the fact that we exist before we came to this earthly plane, afterwards, for eternity, whatever it is. We are absolutely worthy, because I believe in an omnipotent, loving, divine God or presence that doesn't make mistakes. And I'm never going to insult this loving presence by thinking that me or somebody else was made somehow less than. That would be insulting the divine. And I know better than to do that, because I believe in an all-loving, powerful, divine presence. And so that way can really help as well, to when you doubt your worthiness, when you're starting to feel like, oh, but why me? Oh, but I don't think I can. Well, they can, because they're different. To really question, if you believe that there is any magnificent divine power in this universe, whether you call it God or universal spirit or whatever it is, if you believe in that, then you also know it doesn't make mistakes. So why would it have not created you to be absolutely all that you were put on this earth to be? You have it in you. You are that powerful. And by the fact that you exist, you are 100% worthy of every single one of your desires, as long as they do not hurt others. It's as simple as that. And, I think so many of these things are really decisions. We've got to stop telling ourselves other stories that are just nonsense, that are deflating and diminishing ourselves. And we've got to stand up for the truth and make a decision that from this moment on, I'm going to trust and know in my worthiness because I was created as a divine being. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with me. And so, really, truly deciding that and living by that. And every time the small self and the ego self starts telling you something different, step in. Step in and change that story. You are worthy by the fact that you are a divine being that exists. End of story.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I dare add to that is, your network worth is a direct reflection of your self-worth.
Yeah.
That I know for sure. So if you are struggling with what's in your bank account, if you're not happy with that, when you look around you and you say, I want more in my life, you need to go within and say, what is stopping you from having that? Because you're the only one who's getting in your way. You are a powerful being that is capable of anything. I say that all the time is I don't look at my life as to what is Charlotte possible. I look at what is God possible. And so when we can unleash that unlimited potential as to our ability, not only to have any amount of money or whatever it is that you want in your life, but also the impact you want to make, that when you unleash that there's no amount of people that you can't help, no amount of work or difference in this world that you can't make. It's those that decided to become the greatest version of themselves, no matter what anybody else thinks or says, that is when you totally step into your power, all that you were created to be on this earth. Like you said, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We have a limited time that we're here as this human experience. Make it the greatest time of your life. Have the life that you want to live. Step into that. See your worth, see your power, to be able to have that limitless potential to make an impact in this world and whatever income that you want to make. It's not only for the few. It is for everyone who decides to say, I am worth it. So I am curious, Jackie, there's probably not a human out there that hasn't struggled with this at some point in their life. And so was there a defining moment for you where you decided that, hey, I am worth this? Is there a story that or a moment that you can recall that you said, I'm stepping into all that I can be?
Gosh, is there one, or are there multiple times when I've sort of had to address that for myself? Probably, because life does take twists and turns, and sometimes, even though I was 100% certain of my worthiness, I've had speed wobbles along the way, and then had to sort of regroup and like find that again, right? I think that's also what makes life interesting and also helps us to be better teachers, because we totally understand that stuff. We know what it's like to feel that way, to doubt our worthiness, to doubt ourselves. But when in starting my business, that was a big one for me, because I had always been told, right, that I needed a rich man to make my dreams come true. So to really make that shift of seeing myself as an entrepreneur, because that is truly what I wanted ever since I was a little girl, and yet all those decades of not being able to see myself as that, of not recognizing and being scared of it, and not thinking that I could ever do it. And so, for me, I had to hit rock bottom before I found what I needed to rise up And the other big important thing about that event in my life, when I hit rock bottom and I didn't have a job, and I knew that there was no job that was going to sustain me at that point, from the amount of money that I needed every month just to survive, because of the lifestyle that I'd built for myself. So I knew that there wasn't a job that I could go out and get that was going to cover that. I had to. So I had no plan B. And we talk about this a lot. For me, one of the big answers was to have no plan B, where I didn't give myself an out. I had to become all that I was put here to be. And yes, there were times when, I was sniveling and groveling on the floor thinking, oh, woe is me, woe is me. But and there was a time when I was doing that, and you said to me, like, where is your power? Why have you lost your power? It's all very well that you need some help right now, and that you're struggling in your business. But where is that girl who believed she can do anything? Where is that? And that was such a pivotal moment for me, because you really did, like, you got my attention, and I was like, oh man, she's so right. Where is that woman? Where is that powerful woman? And it really is deciding and tapping in. You and I talk all the time about faith, tapping into divine guidance and into the fact that there is this divine presence that's there for us always. We love that quote from A Course in Miracles. If you knew who walked beside you at all times on this path that you have chosen, you would never experience fear and doubt again. So in those moments, I had to get back to my divine connection. I had to completely surrender, cast my burdens, and say, God, take this from me and help me. Help me to find the power within myself. Help me to get strong. Show me what I need to do next. And it was really strengthening my faith, and realizing, as I read Neville Goddard's books about, your faith is your fortune, and all of that, really learning that I had to go back to faith, 100% faith, and then act on those divine downloads. Not be a powerless person not taking action. Act on those divine downloads, being unattached to the outcome, in faith that it was all going to work out. So when people wonder what it is that they can do to turn the story around for themselves, I will always say, your words are super powerful. What are you saying to yourself? Mantras and affirmations have always helped me. I've pasted them everywhere. We've spoken about this so many times, but it bears repeating. I pasted them everywhere. The one when I was financially down was, my financial situation is temporary. It's not who I am. It's just where I am right now. There's so much money in the world, and I'm going to open up to receiving it. These are some of the things that you can really start telling yourself. And so mantras, and I am mantras. I am powerful. I am a perfect creation. I am an all-powerful spiritual being. I am loved. I am a successful entrepreneur. I am a badass businesswoman. What is it for you? Those I am statements are very powerful. Look at them, say them over and over again. Write them down 100 times if you can't say them out loud, because you don't want to, people are listening. Whatever it is, but use that. Go back to faith. We talk all the time about, if you don't go within, you go without. Stillness, listening to the divine, listening to your intuition, which is the divine speaking through you, getting still, going back to faith. So those are the two big things I would say for anybody who's struggling with this stuff right now, with the stuff of worthiness and self-doubt. Mantras, affirmations, what story are you telling yourself? What words are you using? And for goodness sake, get still and pray and meditate. Really, really key.
So true, Jackie. So true. So many things ran through my mind when you were saying all that kind of stuff. But I've had a few major defining moments that I guess helped me get through those blocks. And sometimes we don't even realize we have them, because it's just how we've always lived. And some of this comes from even when we're children, the influences and stuff we have. And we're going to talk about that, about, other people's opinions and what keeps us small as we think about what other people think. But for me, it started quite young. I remember being in college, and I was in my third year. And I remember feeling like I wasn't smart enough to be there. I was just a country kid. Here I was working on an international business degree, and I just felt like I wasn't smart enough. There was so many more people in there that I thought were better than I was, and that I couldn't do it. And I remember wanting to throw in the towel. And, I'm only 17, 18 years old at the time. And I went to my professor's office and I was crying, the ugly cry. And I was telling her why I couldn't do it. And I remember her saying, oh, Charla, you remind me so much of myself. And that one sentence changed my life, because somebody saw something in me, to somebody that I looked up to so much. She was brilliant. She was a leader. She was a female, definitely trailblazing in a man's world then. All the business professors, most of my business professors were men. And she was brilliant. She traveled the world. She spoke numerous languages, all that kind of stuff. There's so much I admired. And here was somebody who could see themselves in me. And I thought, if she can see that greatness and potential in me, I need to start seeing that greatness and potential in me. I graduated top of my class. And so everything changed from one sentence. And that's why words are so powerful, and being surrounded by people who lift you up. That's really important, because, we could have people who don't necessarily do that. And, we always think about what other people think and say. And we always say, what other people think about you is none of your business. And another one that I love is a Dr. Phil quote, when he said, it wouldn't matter so much, you wouldn't waste so much weight on what other people think about you if you realized how little they did. And so it's true. People got their own stuff, and we often make up these stories. And the next one is looking at those stories and, that like voice that's playing around in your head all the time as to, what you're hearing, is it true? And so I was at a webinar and a workshop one time, and they had us write down all these things that we tell ourselves all the time as to what has been getting in our way, why we can't do something. And so I had quite my list going, all these things that I was writing about myself, And then I didn't expect what was coming next, which was, now I want you to go back and circle the ones that are actually true. And oh man, that got me. That got me, because there wasn't one thing I could actually circle. We tell ourselves so many things about ourselves that are not true. We tell ourselves so many things that just aren't true. So start telling yourself things that are. Those powerful words and affirmations that Jackie's talking about. Write those out and read them every single day. They will change your life. The last one was another workshop I'm at with the one and only Marianne Williamson. And we all know her from her famous poem, From a Return to Love, about fear. And that, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Well, I probably should have known better than to open my mouth during this workshop and webinar, because she was basically talking about our potential and all these great things that we can do, that when we do tap into our inner guidance, our power, all that kind of stuff, the impact that we can make in this world. And she opened it up for questions. And I said, but Marianne, I can't do that because of this and that and all these kind of things. And I was rattling off all the reasons why I couldn't do that. And this was where I was really struggling in terms of building a massively successful business. I was an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, but I knew there was something more. But I was the person who was getting in my way. And so I told her all these things that I couldn't do. And we tell ourselves that, we're not smart enough. We don't have the resources. We don't have the money, all these kind of things. And her answer was just blunt and simple. She's just said, well, Charla, get off the cross. We need the wood. And that's the only thing she told me. And, it was so profound. And I was left dumbfounded in terms of, oh my gosh, she's so true. I'm the only one who's crucifying myself. I'm the only one who's keeping myself stuck. And there is a greater good out there, that unless I use my gifts and talents to contribute to this world, that I can make it a better place, or I can stay stuck where I am for the rest of my life. And the thing is that a lot of us do that. We go through this life just existing. We wake up one day, old and gray saying, I wish I woulda, I wish I coulda, maybe I shoulda. And I never want that. And we know we say that all the time is, our biggest fear is regret. And we don't want anybody to have to go through life that way. That when you see what your worthiness is, when you truly can see the power that's in you, that divine presence that's in you, that truly is unstoppable, that's capable of doing anything, that it truly is God possible for your life, when you let go of all those things that's no longer serving you and truly step into your worth and your power, you will have an extraordinary life. That when you come to the end of your days in this human form, that you will say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I got out of my own way, that I realized my worth and my potential on this earth, and that I did all the great things that I came here to do. So I just wanted to mention that.
Oh my gosh, they're such great stories, Charlotte, and they're so appropriate. And it also reminds me, that first one that you tell about your teacher, that when she said, you remind me of me, and that was all you needed to really realize, oh my gosh, if I'm like her, I can be as great as she is, or better, or whatever. It also reminds me of how powerful our ability to help others is through our words and our belief in them, and especially young women. But as women, if we can compliment one another, if we can stand in support of one another, and if we can remember every time you see a young girl or a young woman, to give her powerful words like that, what a beautiful world it would be. So I think to always remember the power of a compliment, and especially when it comes to young women and young girls, because even now, uh, young girls, very often the aspiration of their parents is that they marry some nice boy and get well taken care of. And as you and I both know, and we talk about this all the time, there is nothing better for a woman than financial independence, because if you've got financial independence, you don't have to stay with somebody who doesn't treat you right. There's so many things. You've got so many choices, and you've got freedom. And so we have that power with our words. So go through life not being afraid to compliment others, to lift others up, because those stories just show how important that is as well. It reminds me of that story Oprah used to tell about when she was a little girl, and this woman bent down to her and said, well, aren't you just as pretty as a speckled pup? And that she never felt pretty. And when that woman said that, she just was, oh, I'm pretty. And to this day, she tells that story, which is so incredible. That one thing that woman said, that Southern woman with a little bonnet on or whatever. And so it's the power of words. Really remember that we have that, and as women, to really utilize that with one another. And when you were talking, it also reminded me of when you said to me, when I spoke at the very first Fields event for me in Montreal in April of 2018, and you said, oh, you're such a phenomenal speaker, you must have done this a lot. And I'm like, oh, no, this was my first time. And when I said to you, well, I don't know how I could monetize talking about love and sex. And you're like, oh, you're your own show. The fact that you said that, and then when you agreed to jump on a call and talk to me about it, you supported me, you helped another woman, and you gave me the confidence. And I was like, what, really? I can? And that took away a lot of the self-doubt, because you, as somebody who was experienced putting on events, saw that in me, so that I could put on my own show. That just gave me the strength and the power I needed. And guess what? That's exactly what I ended up doing. And so really, really amazing how those are the moments that give us confidence and remind us of our own power. And so whether you're on the receiving end or the giving end of that, just remember the power of a compliment to build somebody up.
So true, Jackie. And I think that's one of the things I love most about 100 Most Powerful Women is, we realize how powerful that's been in our life. And we go out of our way to make sure that each of our members knows that the gifts that we see in them, and when they do really great jobs at what they're working on, and because we can be so hard on ourselves, we beat ourselves up all the time, and we don't acknowledge our greatness. We don't acknowledge our gifts and our talents and how far we've came. And, we always go above and beyond in terms of really making sure that our members know that they're doing a fantastic job. The things that they're not giving themselves credit for is that, we always make sure we say that. And also we have to have such a beautiful group of women is they do that to each other. Just watching comments on some of our group sessions and conversations and things like that as to how encouraging and loving that, we can be to each other, and what that can mean to keep us from throwing in the towel or from doubting our abilities, giving up, any of those kind of things, is that, it's those things that just keep us going and keep stepping into the greatest version of ourselves. And yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of what we do.
Yeah, it's so true. Our members certainly do not walk alone. And yeah, you're so right about that. And I think that is the power of a mastermind, and the power of women supporting women, and the power of having a group like this. When you doubt yourself, everybody else lifts you up, and we believe in you when you don't even believe in yourself. And we know that everybody has incredible, unique gifts and talents. That's why they came, to have this human experience, to utilize those things and to go all out with them. And so, yeah, it really does fill us up to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, is that community is so important when it comes to your worthiness and not doubting yourself, is who are you surrounding yourself with? And that's the thing, is lots of times we're listening to the thoughts and the opinions of others, or the media, or what people are telling you. It's a pandemic, so your business isn't going to be successful. Well, that's not true. We've had massive success, and many of our members have had massive success, during the course of this time. And so it's what you're believing, what you're taking in. And so it's really important to be surrounded by a community of those that see your greatness, that help you with, any of those doubts or worthiness that you do have, to overcome those things, because it's a process for all of us. It doesn't happen overnight. It's with a practice that we do overcome all of those things, and that, we limit those that we're surrounding ourselves with that maybe don't have those same values or visions or things for their life. That's okay. That's their life. They've got to have their own experience. But the more you can surround yourself with a community of like-minded people that see that in you, that support you, encourage you, we definitely recommend that for every woman, is that we know what it's like to be alone in that entrepreneurial journey, that it can be hard, because lots of times we don't have people to talk to, we don't have people to go to, and to be able to do that. And so that's what we love creating with 100 Most Powerful Women, is, having that supportive community of like-minded people, and, teaching you definitely how to manage all that outside noise as well.
Yeah, so true, Charla.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely true. Yes.
Yeah. So any final thoughts, Jackie, before we wrap up today about, how to stop doubting our worthiness?
Well, I'm just going to challenge everybody to make a decision from this moment on, that every time you catch yourself doubting your worthiness, wondering why me, oh, they can, not me, catch yourself. Be the observer self. Catch yourself and make a conscious decision to change those thoughts, to change those words, and to start telling yourself a completely new story. You have the ability to do it, but you have to be determined to make a decision that from this moment on, you're not going to listen to that small sniveling self. You're going to be your super powerful spiritual self that catches the small self saying those things, feeling that way, and you remind yourself that you were created by a divine source of life that makes no friggin' mistakes. Remember that. And you were put on this earth to experience humanness, which means you were put on this earth to experience all you desire to experience. So you don't need to apologize for it. Get in tune with what you really want to own, be, do in this world, and then step up and claim it. Because once you do, you will find the power within. You'll tune into that intuitive voice. When you have the courage to act on those intuitive downloads, you will impact millions and make millions of dollars.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you want to join us on this journey, if you're needing some help, some support, some encouragement, some amazing mentors to be able to help you build a massively successful business, to look like a million, to feel like a million, to impact millions, and of course, make millions by doing what you love. We would love to hear from you. We are opening our September registration for 100 Most Powerful Women. We'll be taking on some new women to be part of this amazing group. And so I'll post the link in the comments below where you can apply, and we'll schedule a time for you to be able to chat with Jackie and I. We would love to get to know more about you and about your business. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Join us next time with another episode of So You Want to Be a Millionaire. Bye, everyone.